This is the Big Lap Chats podcast, where our mission is to help caravanners and campers plan their ultimate lap of Australia. Whether you're dreaming of hitting the road or already travelling, we provide all the information and tools you'll need to bring your dream to life. Tune in as our expert host, Annette Jones, chats with Australia's big lappers, caravanners and campers, sharing hints and tips for creating the best memories while travelling around Australia. Be sure to check out Annette's website, All Around Oz, Australia's leading site for planning a lap of Australia. But now, settle in and hit play while you're on the road and listen as Annette delivers today's episode.
It's away.
Okay, it's away. Okay. So welcome to Big Lap Chats, and this is our very first episode with our number one guest. And our guests today are Mel and Brendan Chambers. And I thought it was very, very fitting that they joined me as the first guests because they were the previous owners of All Around Oz. So welcome,
Hi.
Mel and Brendan.
G'day.
And where are you calling in from today?
We are in Horsham in the Wimmera Mallee region of Victoria.
It's a beautiful part of the country.
It is, yes.
Yep. Yes.
And how long have you been down there?
We've been down here for 3 months all up. So we came down here and did some small farm sits and a house sit. And now we're just waiting for harvest to kick in so as we can do some work and top up the travel fund.
Because if people aren't familiar with your style of travel, how is it that you do travel? Do you travel for 6 months? Do you travel for 6 months and then stop for work, or do you have any sort of set times? What determines when you stop?
It just depends on where we are and what we've been doing. So it's been nearly 10 months since we've worked because we'd actually been stopped for 2 years previously to that. Generally it's around every 6 to 8 months we'll stop and do 2 or 3 months of work.
Yeah.
Yep. And do you look for the same type of work or it varies?
It has been pretty much the same type of work. It seems to be, the money seems to be with the grain season where you can get the hours and you can get the overtime and you can get the weekend work, which is all about what we want to do. So when we stop to work, we want to put our heads down and backsides up, so to speak, and punch away as much money as we can.
Yep.
And that's where we get the 12-hour days and the penalty rates and the weekend work and the public holiday work. And that's what seems to make the most for us, to make us work less and travel more.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And I guess the average person out there that's doing those sort of jobs, they don't want to work public holidays and weekends and so forth.
Yes, well, I'll slot straight into the gap. That gap, no problem at all.
Yeah, very good. So where's next for you then after Horsham? Which way are you travelling?
We'll make a trip back up to the Gold Coast to catch up with our kids, and then the next couple of years will be all about making our way across to the West Coast. So we'll head into South Australia, spend probably 6 months in South Australia next year, and then be over into the bottom end of WA in time for harvest at the end of next year.
Fantastic. And I know that you've just come back from 3 months in Tasmania. What was that like?
Amazing. Everything everybody says it is times 10. Yeah. What an amazing place in the world. Yep. Very, very nice.
And is there one or two places that really stand out for you?
For me, it'd be the Port Arthur area and the coastline and the cliffs and all that along there and around Port Arthur and the history around the place. Yeah, I really enjoyed spending a week around there. That was lots of fun.
Okay. What about you, Mel?
Probably for me, Cradle Mountain. So I think it was a bucket list destination, and to be able to walk right round Dove Lake and we just had the most magic weather,
amazing
like
weather.
crystal clear, and wasn't cold, and was just a beautiful day out. was, really special.
And what time of the year, what months were you in Tasmania?
We arrived at the start of March and pretty much went straight and did Cradle Mountain before it sort of got too cold. And then we went across
Yep.
to the west coast and went round that way. And we were back on the mainland at the start of June.
It was basically exactly 3 months.
Fantastic. And do you have a favourite free camp or two that you could share?
Oh,
Any sort of standout free camps?
oh gosh, so many. Cutterburra Crossing in outback Queensland was one that we stumbled across on our way north from Birdsville, and there was only us and one other van there, and it was on a little lagoon, and it was secluded and peaceful, and
So
and
quiet.
just magic spot for in the middle of nowhere.
Sounds like the type of place everyone's looking for.
And as you know, out the back there where there's no light pollution, you can lay back in the chair at night time and just stare at the stars, and it's an amazing place to look at and think how physically small we really are.
Yeah, that's for sure. Those big skies out back are quite amazing.
They are.
Let me find my list. Why is it you can never find things when you want them? Okay, so now we're getting into the questions. I know they were questions, but these are the real questions. What's the one thing most lappers overlook that could make or break their entire journey around Australia?
I'll throw that one over to Brenden, I think.
Make or break. Having the right vehicle to do the job that you want to do is probably the best thing, and be set up and tick all the boxes before you go, and do a bit of homework as to where you want to go, and make sure that what you're traveling in and what you're towing is going to be suited to the task, so you don't end up on the back of the tow truck to go home.
Yes, that's good sound advice. We see so often where the tow rig just is not capable of towing what's behind it.
Absolutely. And you can
because they're overloaded.
some of the roads that we get out on, and you know yourself, they're absolutely horrible roads, and there's people screaming past at 80 kilometres an hour, and then they wonder why things are broken or full of dust and everything at the other end.
Yeah, for sure. We had that quite a bit on the PDR. They weren't towing, but man, were they flying along.
Yeah, that's right.
Just crazy. Okay, what are the 3 biggest money-saving hacks every lapper? I'll just start that again. What are the 3 biggest money-saving hacks every lapper needs to know before hitting the road?
Cook your own meals. So I think that's the biggest saving. You just simply can't afford to eat out all the time. We can't.
We can't afford to eat out all the time anyway.
No.
Yeah, so if we do a bit of batch cooking and that kind of thing, so make the most of. I've bought a slow cooker. I've got a slow cooker in the van, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it means you can buy some cheaper cuts of meat and make up a few curries or a stroganoff or something like that. And they're just budget friendly and easy meals to put together.
Yeah, that's good tip.
So I think the other one is going back to what Brenden was saying before, is having the right vehicle and all your weights and everything right, and that will ultimately help you save money on fuel and wear and tear on your vehicle.
Get used to having a walk around every time you stop. Like, even if you're just getting out to go to the public loo somewhere, walk around the vehicle a different way that time you stop, and you get to know your vehicle, and you can smell things. You can smell things that are hot or things that don't look right, or something might be hanging off. And it's only a glance. Like, you don't have to study things. You don't have to stand to look at something. You can do it while you walk around, and you get to know your vehicle, and you get to know if something's just not quite right.
That's great advice.
And I think the last one is, we all love a bargain, so free and low-cost camping. We find a lot of our low-cost camps in the smaller rural communities where, you might be paying $10 a night for power and water, or
Mhm.
as we were talking about free camps and that, have yourself set up for free camp so you've got enough water to last you a couple of days. You've got plenty of solar
Yep.
to keep your fridge and your lights and that running, and it
Mhm.
really will save you a lot of
Does
money.
save money, yes.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. We at the last couple of months that we were traveling, I said to Kev, "We've got to get back into free camping again." But that's all we did when we first started. And somehow, I guess being when you're in the hotter month,
Mm.
like when you're traveling and it's hot, like when we were in Darwin, it was 38 degrees.
Mm.
So not to be in a caravan park without any air conditioning at night was a bit
That's
silly.
fair enough.
So we didn't
Sure.
do that.
Yep.
Yeah. What's the secret to finding the most breathtaking yet completely under the radar destinations, do you think?
I pretty much rely on wiki camps. So
Mm.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there if you just sort of have a little bit of a look out of where you actually think you want to be, and you'll then seem
Mhm.
to find the little camps that a lot of other people don't necessarily go to. So
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Out of those sort of main hubs
yes,
on the
Yep.
outer
Yep.
outskirts.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
no.
Cool. So if you could give one piece of advice to someone who is planning their lap of Australia at the moment, what would that be?
Take your time.
Take your time. Take your time. Do it over as
Yep.
long a period as you can, so you don't have to rush.
Mhm.
You see so often people pull up, and sometimes they don't even get out of the car. They stick the phone out, they take a photo, and they're gone again. They haven't walked that 3 steps down to the edge
Yeah.
of the creek and seen 10 times what they just took a photo of. They miss out on so much.
Yes.
It's time.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
and yeah,
We had Mhm.
we know a lot of people might be on a time limit, but maybe if they are on a time limit, reduce what they
Do a
yeah,
shorter loop.
do a half lap, and then in a couple of years' time come back
Yes.
and do the other half. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
We had a question, I think it was this week in the group actually. Someone had 4 months to do a lap.
Oh,
And I mean, for me, I think you're better off spending that 4 months in one state
yes, yep.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like,
rather than try and
yeah, 3 months in Tasmania nearly wasn't enough, let alone 4 months to go around the country.
You would literally be
Yeah,
driving
yeah,
the
good
whole
point.
time. So we spent 5 months in outback
Just in
Queensland.
outback Queensland.
So
Yeah, I believe
yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's
There's so much to see out there, even though there's not much
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there, but there is still a lot to see,
Yes.
isn't there?
it's pretty amazing.
Isn't it? What do you think the biggest myth about traveling Australia that needs to be busted?
Ooh, good question. That it's for everybody.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I'm sure there are people out there that have set off thinking that this is going to be the greatest experience ever. And for whatever reason, yeah, maybe the kids haven't adapted to it. Maybe they've got some health issues that haven't allowed them to fully enjoy the experience, or maybe they've just been unlucky and had a few things go wrong, a vehicle breakdown or something like that, and the experience
Yep.
hasn't been what they thought it would be, and that's okay.
Yes.
It's it might not be for everybody. So yeah,
Yes. And there is quite well, I found there was quite an adjustment time, like 2 or 3 months for me because I'm working at the same time. So it was, and I was so used to having my sort of set days at home where I could do my work, but we're either in the car traveling or setting up or packing up or out where you are seeing the place, and I'm like,
I think
no time to work really.
I know when we were getting ready for our lap, there was so much going on. We'd finished
Yep.
renovating a house similar to you. We'd sold the
Yep.
house, we'd
Mhm.
purchased another house. There was all this stuff going on, and then right before we were meant to leave, my mum passed away, so all of a sudden, I had to go straight away kind of thing, and then we had work lined up
Yeah.
and our caravan owners group, we had that all organised, and there was just so much on in those first few months, and after we'd done our first lot of work, we actually went and just free camped on the side of a creek for a week and sort of just went, "Wow."
Oh,
Yeah. Probably stared at the water and
and
not
not.
much
Yeah.
conversation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
definitely an adjustment.
it's for sure, and it's an exciting time, and then there's we get quite a few posts about people feeling a bit anxious as well, and the lead up is like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like a volcano,
Yep.
isn't it? It's
Yep.
leading up to this day when you're actually going to hit the
Yep.
road, and I think a good thing to do is just travel as slowly as you can for
Mm.
that first month.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So, and don't go
Yeah.
too far. I've read a few different posts and that where people have said they literally only drove for 2 hours the first day and then stopped because they were
Yep.
so exhausted. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was us. I think we left Harvey Bay and we got to Calliope
Yep.
free camp
Beautiful.
that night.
Perfect.
Yep.
Like the day, that was it. And we were only gonna stay one night. We ended up staying 2 nights and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you stay connected and productive on the road without sacrificing the adventure? If you're stopping and working and so forth, how have you sort of managed to combine the 2, I guess? Because there'll be quite a few listeners that'll be wanting to do the same.
Pretty much when we're stopped for work, you've got to have a day off at least or a couple of days off,
Yeah.
and that's when we jump in the car and go and explore the local area. So when we
Yep.
first started travelling and we came down and Brenden worked at a little place called Dimboola, not far from Horsham where we are now, every time he had a day
Mhm.
off, we'd jump in the car and go, and because it was right close to all the silo art and that, so we'd just shoot off for the day, throw a bit of food in the
Yep.
fridge in the back and, yeah, head off and have a look around the area, and it's a really good way to really, like, immerse yourself in one area and see everything that there is in that area.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because quite often you'll be somewhere, get further down the road, you'll meet and start talking to people, and they'll say, "Oh, did you see such and such where you've just been?" And you think, "No, I didn't see that."
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I suppose the other thing is too, when we've got so much time, usually we know where we're going for our next lot of work and whether we've got enough funds to make it drag out 6 months or 8 months or 9 months. Hopefully it's 9 months so we can get to the next grain season. And then you pretty well plan where you'd like to be in
Yep.
9 months, which is 9 times out of 10 not
Yep.
too far away. So you just sort of plot and just
Mhm.
sort of dawdle over the next 6 or 8 months, just dawdle across to where you need to be and try to see everything that you can see. And like Melissa said, we've got wiki camps open probably 90% of the time, and we can see the silo art
Mhm.
or we can see a waterfall. And like we've been known to pull up and leave the van somewhere in a rec ground or something like that and disappear in the car for the day and then get back and pick the van up that night because there was a waterfall that we wanted to see or a mine shaft
Yeah.
20 k's away that had some great
Mhm.
history. So just dawdling along.
Yep.
Yep. That's the best way to do it.
Mhm. And do you tend to work to a set budget for a weekly budget, for your food and s y
No,
you
no,
know
not really.
exactly what your budget's gonna
No,
be, or no?
no,
We don't
No,
either.
no. I don't think
um,
we ever have. No.
no, I know how much I need to have for insurance and phones and that going out, but
Yep.
we've
Yep.
we keep track of what we spend because it's always
Mhm.
interesting to look back. But
Yep.
we've never really said, "Oh, we've only got $800 for a week," or something
Yeah.
like that, because there's too many variables, the price of fuel, and
Mhm.
if you're in a smaller
Yep.
community, you're going to pay a little bit more for your groceries because there might only be an IGA or a Food Works there. Whereas if you're in a big town
Mhm.
and there's an Aldi there, your food budget's going to be different. So, yeah.
And your fuel budget can change so much from week to week too. Sometimes you might be in a little place and you mightn't even put fuel in the truck for the week that you're there. But the next week away, you might do 500 kilometres because you're hopping from somewhere to the other, and you might fill it twice in the times that you're sightseeing on during that 500 k's. You might do 1,500 k's to do 500 k's, so you put 2 or 3 tanks of fuel in it. So it just varies too often to be able to chase it like that, we think.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. I know when we were in Darwin, we only filled up a couple of times. We were there almost 3 months.
Yep.
And then coming back down the Stuart Highway and then across to Queensland, we were filling up every day. So, you really can't budget for that.
No.
I don't think.
It is what it is.
And you can't budget for something going wrong. Like you can...
No.
When we were coming back down from Queensland earlier in the year, we got a broken windscreen, like brand new truck, and we picked up a stone chip off a truck that went past, and it was right in front of me, and you could just see it marching down, and that was is what it is. Wasn't in our budget. It was
No, gosh, for a new car, you would not expect that. we copped a similar thing on the Savannah Way. Yeah, I think the car was only a couple of months old or whatever it was. And we had it replaced in Darwin, actually, when we were up in Darwin, because it started to grow again. But, yeah, that's just what you have to deal with on the road, hey?
Yep, definitely.
So, and, it's the same. It can happen to you anywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're on the road or at home. So,
for sure.
Things can and do go wrong. So,
definitely do.
Yep, definitely do.
What's your insider secret that you swear by but rarely share with the public?
Oh, insider secret.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
What would you class as an insider secret?
I don't know. I don't know that we've actually got one.
Yeah.
I suppose you could say, I could say it really helps if you like your other half that you're travelling with.
That's very true.
It definitely does.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Help. So, and you do see the occasional lot of people, and you can just tell that they are very, very cross with each other because something hasn't gone right. And it's quite often when they're trying to park their van.
Could be the case too. They're just over it.
Yeah.
For sure. They might have had a long drive. Yep.
Day or week or something's gone wrong.
And
yeah.
Or they got a cracked windscreen on the way.
Or they've had a blowout 50 k's back and he's just spent 2 hours underneath the van getting the rubber off it and
Yep. In the red dirt.
And the heat and the flies and
oh, we're laughing because we've been there.
Which when you look back, it's all been part of the adventure, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean that's what good stories come from, doesn't it?
Right.
You know, those sorts of things, and they make good campfire conversations too.
So, and it makes everyone else out there in travel land realise that they're not alone.
They're not alone,
and that it doesn't just happen to them.
That's right. I don't think anyone gets off scot-free.
No,
when they're on the road full time.
No.
Well, that's just about it from me, unless you've got some other words of wisdom that you can share that you don't think we've covered today.
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I guess to add on to that, for anybody who's thinking of doing the lap and they're just not quite sure, definitely give it a go. Like, it's a fantastic lifestyle. You don't have to do what we're doing, where we're traveling full time and made it more of a lifestyle. But yeah, if you've got the opportunity to go, definitely give it a go, because it really is a great lifestyle, and you'll get to see stuff that you'll never get to experience again, and meet some wonderful people.
Oh,
And
yeah, some of the
yeah,
people we've met are amazing. Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah.
And still good
Yeah.
friends.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you just,
Yeah.
you just meet people in random places and hit it off, and yeah, it's a really great way of life.
Yeah. It really
Mm.
is.
Looks like
Yeah.
it's agreeing
Well, that's
with you.
fantastic. Yeah, I'm standing in the van at the moment, and it must be, I don't know, 30 degrees inside the van. I haven't got the air conditioning on because it makes a noise when I'm recording. So,
How you?
oh
Yep.
gosh, we have got all the tiles
Yep.
on that need to be on, and they just need to be grouted
Yep.
now. And I think the vanity will be permanently in the next day or so.
Yep.
And then the bath has to go in, and the toilet, and then it hopefully will be done.
Hopefully. So, where was the leak? What actually happened?
Well, back in the day when the house was built in 2001, they didn't have to waterproof bathrooms back then,
yeah.
or they didn't
They didn't,
waterproof
yeah.
bathrooms. So it's been pretty much leaking, the whole time for the last 20 years or whatever. And from about halfway down, once all the tiles came off, it was just like all the studs were just mush.
Oh, no.
Like, it was so wet,
Yep.
and so wet under the floor tiles as well. So it had just, leaked and leaked and leaked.
Yep.
So, and it leaked into the main bedroom over the brand new carpet, of
Yep.
course.
Same.
It does,
So,
yeah.
yep. So anyway, we did the other bathroom before we left, and now there's this bathroom. So
Oh,
that's
Yep.
it. There's no more to do.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Do the kitchen when we come back. So I'll just
wrap
wrap up. So thanks very much, Brenden and Mel, for joining me
Thank you.
today and your input. And I'm sure the listeners will find your information really helpful to them, whether they're planning a lap or whether they're on the road at the moment.
Very good. Best
Thanks,
of luck.
Annette.
So thanks for joining me.
Best of luck to everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Big Lap Chats. We hope today's episode helped you take another step towards planning your lap of Australia. And if you're already on the road, we hope you picked up some great tips on where to stay and what to see and do along the way. If you found it helpful, we'd love your feedback. Head over to allaroundoz.com.au/podcast, where you can also download the show notes and find more resources to help with your journey. We'll be back next week with more tips and stories about caravanning, camping, and planning your lap of Australia. Until then, happy travels.